Traders, welcome on back here this Thursday afternoon, February 23rd. I said that date right there correctly, at least. Great to see all of us here. Scott and Mark still with us, at least, and Roger as well, Michael included. And great to see all of us just joining on back as well. Ron and John as well, all of our trial members just joining us here for the week included. Great to see all of us back on social media, Facebook Live, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube. So let's hop right to it, folks. The day that is never ending, not because it's slow. You got a lot to focus on, at least right now. Thankfully, moving on up. SPY dropped off early this morning. It seemed like things were going to begin to seep lower going into the afternoon, but really suddenly had a nice strong push at first, and then it continued. The S&P, or the SPY, I should rather say, moving back on up over 400, teasing a break above it right now. Right now, at least on the screen, SOXL. This is the chip semiconductor ETF, like with AMD and NVIDIA, more NVIDIA than anything. And with earnings this morning, this was up big. And, obviously our focus was on NVDA as well. So let's start off with these, at least on the screen to begin. NVIDIA, I lined up briefly for a couple of our students in our coaching program earlier today. We were talking about a few different levels. So big buying level early this morning in pre-market there in green, roughly around 233.28, roughly around 233 and change. So, that was a bit of an issue because it ended up giving us some trouble around that price throughout the early morning, and then it ended up snapping on up higher. So for resistance to get broken above, made a nice move. But then it really took its time to make this build back up, and it really chopped around that 233 and change price there in green. So you would have expected better support across the day, or at least I would have. It ended up building better heading into the afternoon, though. Built a lot better heading into 1 o'clock. Like, this is really what you would have wanted to see sooner, but we got it, though. It ended up pushing back on up over 135. Now on up to the next major line I had up on my chart. Goes to show that plotting your iceberg levels pay off, because this has been a pretty clean level to watch throughout the day, not just 238, but all of these for the most part, right? I mean, next level ahead off 240. Huge 75,000 share iceberg on the ask I ended up seeing earlier today. Let's see if it ended up getting bigger, smaller, in between. Yeah, got a little bigger, 77,000 shares, but it's moving on up there right now. Let's see what happens if this can get filled. We'll kind of just watch it here on Bookmap, if anything. Just watch the CVP column here, watch the order get filled, watch it live. Just tap in for about 20 seconds, 30 seconds, see what happens off this 238 here live. I'm not doing that just to take a water break either. Let's see if this can blast over 238 coming up. About 76,000, 77,000 shares. Now, the thing is, on this level, it ended up testing it earlier a few different times. So to peel back on it, we ended up seeing 238 get poked at a couple of different instances throughout the day. So it's not a first test. This is like the third or fourth, however many times you want to call it. But the more buying that we have off of that price, like we had off that, green line and, 235, even all of them, the more buying that we see off this level ahead, it should lead to the continuated move. So, we'll check in with this trade before we finish up. Definitely going to put NVIDIA on our main list to, at least start. AMD is actually making a sharper squeeze now for the afternoon, even comparative. So maybe I slip AMD now at this point on our list too. You got the SOXL ETF, right? We were talking about that from earlier. Did not pull back to me here off of 1493. I was calling that out as a big level, but it looks like it's so strong with the other, stocks, at least the semiconductor stocks, that the whole sector is running up, right? So we got SOXL, the ETF. We got NVIDIA, obviously. A little less expensive, but we will put AMD on our main list now at this point. That's a really sharp trend moving up. Perhaps a beneficiary of the market altogether. Now the SPY really pushing on up over 400. So, if all systems are a go, then we could have a big list, collectively heading into the afternoon. All right. Now at this point, watch this actually. I was about to go to OCEA, but watch now we're going to get our pop here coming up on NVIDIA. Let's just focus on the platform here. We'll go another 20 to 30. Another 20 to 30 seconds here. Let's see if this could blast higher. It was inching on up. I saw it squeezing on up there. I said, all right, let's turn back. And now it's trying to fade away from me here. It doesn't want to show the break over 238 for us. Damn. All right. I thought I was going to catch it perfect in time there from the corner of my eye here on my other monitor, but we'll check in maybe as we continue. Now, the OCEA stock, though, I mean, wow, this thing, no one expected this stock to make the move that it made at the time that it made it, up to the price that it went up to. So if you're trying to wonder, like, oh, teach us how to trade this. Well, we'll teach you how to trade the initial move because, hey, lo and behold, this we were watching all throughout pre-market. You could have focused your lines and levels based off of what you see here, mainly off of the highs right around 675, 680, and then 7. But, just once it broke that resistance, you'd want to see it make a pretty big move shortly after, right? So from that point, popped and got halted. It ended up, consolidating, broke higher. Now, the more and more times it runs up and gets halted, of course, you're going to be more reluctant on jumping in, folks. I am every single time. Fausto is. He'll say it every time he's doing the meeting. So if you were able to get in early, like shout out to Chris, one of our students here, platinum students, Chris M. He ended up getting like $4 or $5 on this trade. I think. I mean, it was a really nice push. But if you were able to get in early, sweet. But if you weren't able to jump in at that point or once it rebroke the highs later on, then don't sweat it. I mean, we catch a stock like this pretty much a few times a week anyway. So I'm sure there's going to be something else coming up. If not this afternoon, then tomorrow. But otherwise, though, there's other stocks out there on top of that too. The more time you spend watching this and you're intimidated by it and you don't want to jump in or you're unsure, maybe you're missing out on the next best move coming up, right? You're missing out on something that you're not looking at, something that could be making a much more viable run. So nice, nice job for anyone that jumped in early on the OCEA or were able to take advantage of it from when we were calling it out in pre-market or after the open. But sheesh, what goes up comes back down, right? This freaking Nvidia trade is teasing me here. I got it on the corner of my eye. It's going back up right now. Come on, buddy. Let's get a nice break. A little fireworks here in this meeting. I'd love to see it break over. And there's more volume than this right now, too. It's from other ECNs, but about 72,000 right now on the ask at that 238 for Nvidia. This thing's really busting my chops right now. I don't want to spend all meeting watching this. We gotta go through our list here, folks. So we did well on Nvidia earlier. We'll try and capture the pop here coming up. You got the warrants also in OCEA. We're not going to put that on our list, just like we didn't put this stock either. But it was interesting to see the warrants, though. Otherwise, OCEA warrants, cheapy, ended up making a pretty nice pop after the open. But again, same deal. The warrants are actually more volatile than the equity. Not It's not up as much right now, but it's more volatile. It's less liquid typically. It's going to make a sharper pop and drop move. We're so close. I mean, we're so close to this. Come on. We're right there. We're right there. Come on. Just break over this damn iceberg already. Oh, man. This is too funny, right? Hey, I got coaching coming up at 3 o'clock. This thing can't be wasting my time. I got to send out emails, make sure I'm good to go, make sure my students are good to go here. Man, this is not trying to make this pop, it seems. It's still just kind of shaking back down there. All right. We keep moving along. I'm on top of it, though. I'm trying to be. ETLX next up. This, I'm not going to be as keen to put on our watch list. Why? Well, I think you know why. Look at the order book. Look at level 3. On the far right side of my screen, the trade station matrix. It is just paper thin, big spread. I mean, I saw it earlier. I was on a coaching call, and we were going over book map with it. It actually looked like not a terrible book map at the time, like a bit of a orange line here, that became support. But these orders are only for about like 5 or 8,000 shares, even less. This was only 3,400. But you can't put much weight in that type of liquidity, figuratively and literally. I mean, you don't want to trade too many shares, and you just don't really even want to trade it at all. I mean, there's just better fish in the sea to try and catch, easier fish in the sea to try and catch. So nice run up, but yeah, I mean, I'll pass even. All right. AMAM has been more of a tease for us than anything. I mean, it was more of a choppy move since the mid to late morning. It ended up popping for us just a couple days back, so I know a few of us are familiar with it. It is relatively liquid. I wish it had more volume, actually, but tight spread, rather. Uh, right now, though, not really making much of a trend, though, so I'll pass on this. And we keep on going. Let's just keep kind of skimming through right now. Not go through every single one. Rely. That's at the highs there. But again, kind of choppy move. Just don't have a great need to put this on our main list right now. Got the JNCE trade from earlier. Actually, to recap this one from the morning move that it made. It was pre-market at the time, nice bounce, but unfortunately, it failed to really continue. Popped up nicely, but short-lived in terms of the time. Pop and drop essentially off of 137, and then from there pulled back. So, all right, here's our illustrious Nvidia trade. Right, I'm not going to look back at it now. I got it on my other screen here. It did not break over 238 since we last looked at it. Uh, And I'll tell you, I mean, market's moving on up, but it hasn't made a big leap up or down from the close yesterday. So there might not be a whole lot name brand otherwise on the gainer side, maybe on the loser side either. But we'll kind of go through BHC. Not much happening there. All right, let's hop over to the loser side right now, seeing if there's anything looking just as good, if not better. Got a few stocks down big. It's just hard to look for a short on them because if they're down that much, they're going to be hard to. If they're hard to borrow, then they're impossible to borrow. ORGS, a little close to the ground floor, might I say here. Not really too interested in shorting a dollar stock or whatever. W, I mean, hard to borrow, but made a nice drop earlier. Name brand company, of course. So this one, I could say, just because it's hard to borrow on my platform doesn't mean it's impossible, and especially doesn't mean it's impossible if you're on a different broker. So it could be easy to borrow on Thinkorswim or on IB or Webull, whatever it may be. Led to a nice drop earlier today. If it was closer to the lows at this point, I would put it on our list. It is down a decent chunk. Maybe it could continue to be a small dead cat bounce from this point. It already bounced off the lows and back over 36 for a buck. I don't really feel. I don't have a great feel for this one right now. I'm going to pass on it, but it's tradable. I mean, there's 1,000 stocks that could look like this. We got to be very selective now at this point. Bands say the same thing on. You say the same exact thing on Unity here. Just kind of flat now. Dropped off from the morning. Good short. Same on House. All right, I'll go through my side list here before we finish up. We'll tap in with the chat board here and all of us on social media included, Facebook Live, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, and we'll look at Benzinga here as well. But yeah, TDOC, I mean, same deal on this as I just said on the others, right? If it was closer to the lows, Fausto just talked about this at the on-site class. We all know that from yesterday, the last 2 days. You want to stock near the highs, near the lows. So Andre says TSLA hot. I mean, so market was pushing up pretty nicely. So as volatile as Tesla it is, that could have made a good squeeze. I mean, it moved up, right? I mean, I'll tell you, we've seen Tesla trade even sharper than this. So nothing really too special on this move in particular, Andre. Good side list stock. So if you do well on it, I'm sure you'll be more inclined to follow it in particular. From Mike Lunar, yeah. I mean, if this had a better spread and if it was easy to borrow, then this one would be numero uno, Mike. Oh my goodness, right? This is a classic example of what makes the percent gainers list makes the percent losers list the following day. And if it's not the following day, then folks, it's going to be the day after that. Please. So, don't try and bank on it. So don't try and bank on a swing trade for a stock like this. I mean, God bless anyone that day traded it or gambled on the one stinking share. But yeah, this is pretty much what we see on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis. You don't want to get stuck swing trading a stock like this. All right, folks. Let me know if there's anything else up, down, left, right, more than 5% that you'd want me to check out before we wrap up here. I've not seen NVIDIA break back over 238 yet. APPH here, I just pulled up from Benzinga Pro. It's up 9%, not at the top of the gainer side there, but you know what I'm going to say. It's a really good order book, a very good spread, good liquidity. Got a huge huge iceberg here on the ask at 112, 126,000 shares roughly sitting there at 112. So that's your resistance there to work off. And and on top of that, it's a gap fill. So I like this trade. I like it a lot. I'm gonna put this APPH on our main list for right now. We got another one, maybe. I don't know what the chart looks like here for this BIVI. Nice move from the morning, but yeah. SLQT. Ooh, the stock's at the intraday highs. It's also looking to break like weekly highs. I'm just looking at the daily chart here, just recently from the beginning of this month, monthly highs you can say as well. But nonetheless, I mean, I like the order book. Hopefully, more eyes catch on to this trade because I feel like it's not really trading a whole lot of volume per minute. It does have a good order book, which I like. So, that's where I'm saying I hope more volume really starts to get filled on this trade for a better run. Yeah, I'll give it a shot. SLQT. It's one that we're pretty familiar with as well. We've done well on this stock in the past, not just from February as well, mind you, from like, a couple of years ago, I'm sure, like up or, on the way up, on the way down. We did well on the stock in the past. All right, folks, current time 2:46 right now. We are making good use of time because I don't really see much else out there. So we got a good list now at this point. We got really the semiconductor sector, like the chip stocks, NVIDIA, AMD in particular. The ETF that goes with it, SOXL, right? This is really like the one that we're going to be following, if anything. This represents the whole sector. But otherwise, though, again, if you don't have Bookmap, I would just suggest for you to follow the equity, like NVIDIA or AMD. Buy calls on them if you're looking for another run up into the close. I'm expecting it, but otherwise, we'll see what this brings us here. All right. For all of us on social media, Facebook Live, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube. I appreciate you folks as always. Just a quick reminder, Fausto will be out till Monday, I believe, so I'll be tagging in for him tomorrow morning to wrap up the week. I look forward to seeing you there. Any questions that you have, feel free to send me over a quick email, josh@ctutrading.com. I always like to post my email there at the end of these streams. But otherwise, if you're interested in joining our live trading room, continuing our audio commentary for today, tomorrow, next week, you name it, just go right down to the link on the green banner below the stream right there to get yourself set up. And then otherwise, for Mark, John, Jeannie, Andre, Michael, and all of us just inside the live trading room, Rich will be on the mic from 3 to 4, taking you folks going into the close. I'll be in the chat board up until 3:30. All right, folks, I'll talk to you soon. Take care.